Get in there. Get in there. Yeah, yeah, get in there. Yeah. What's that on my head, dude?
Whoa, Laddie.
What is up? It's your boy Nick, aka Laddie, back to do another music video reaction. This time, I'm being luckily joined by Lady Red Shannon to do what, Shannon?
It's a documentary on Marilyn Manson called Fear of a Satanic Planet. The rocker who terrified America.
Yeah, and it's by the Stream Movies and More. So I'm assuming, I haven't looked. I'm sorry, I didn't do a good job this time. And they probably do this kind of like documentary stuff a lot. So, but definitely go out and support those guys. You know, we're using this to do this documentary review, reaction type of thing. But give the original some support too, because I'm going to click my like right now. All right. So, Shannon?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. I need more light up here. This is really dark. Maybe it'll be better.
We'll probably get lighter.
Maybe. Really? Right now is the time you stop it?
Do you know why they were showing Charles Manson and Marilyn Monroe?
Because his name is Marilyn Manson.
Ooh.
I may look like an idiot on TV.
The sass is real.
But
for those who may not
I got
know,
I got a 93 IQ level over here, so
For those who may not know, that is where he got his name.
Mm-hmm.
He took two of the most iconic people on two separate spectrums of things,
yes,
and put it together.
Especially since one is a serial killer that killed famous people, and one is a famous person who killed herself.
Yeah.
Didn't think of it that way, did you?
No. You're smart, babe.
That 93
IQ.
93 IQ running on all cylinders over here.
There's a certain pleasure, I think, albeit perhaps a perverse one, in being a hate figure. There's power in that. You know you're getting to someone. Manson is a past master at getting under people's skin.
Me too, baby.
If you can imagine the class cut-ups from your school, the ones who are always making trouble, you give them all the time and all the money in the world to do whatever they want. That's the Manson crew.
We were different, and I mean, we just knew it, you know? We had the attitude like, we're rock stars.
I consider myself an artist more than a musician, and I think the music and how people are affected by it, and my performance, and me speaking to people, all of that together adds up to what Marilyn Manson is.
In the mid-1990s, Marilyn Manson exploded onto the world stage with their dark version of the Eurythmics' Sweet Dreams. Their charismatic frontman and subsequent albums swept them to the top of the charts and guaranteed their place as one of the most influential and controversial bands in modern music.
The winner of the best album is my controversial mate, Mr. Marilyn Manson.
This is the story of how a sub-goth band from Florida became the global phenomenon that is Marilyn Manson.
He was taking the longest track to the stage, was he? I feel like he was going a long way. I don't make y'all wait. This audio, man. This audio, dude. I feel like if we kept this out of Blockbuster too long, we would have been charged extra days. This is an old audio in this bed we're in.
The man who would become Marilyn Manson was born Brian Warner on January the 5th, 1969 in Canton, Ohio, an all-American town just outside Cleveland. The town the young Manson grew up in is a deeply religious and conservative community, and his schooling was to be no different. Attending Heritage Christian School in southwest Canton, he was taught the dogma and theology he would dramatically reject and criticise in later life. However, few places from his childhood have been treated with...
He was taught like Christian stuff in high school?
That's the school he went to.
Was it, did I miss it?
Yeah.
Was it just like a regular high school, right?
It's like a Christian.
Oh.
with such significance as his grandfather's cellar.
Everybody's heard a lot of the stories about the experiences I had with my strange grandfather, which he was just a strange character who, and I call him a character because he doesn't seem like a real person in some ways, but he had this large collection of really deviant pornography that he kept in the basement, and he would turn these trains on, and we would think he would be playing with his trains, but he was actually doing a lot of really sick things, and this was something I discovered when I was about 12, and it was something that I became really fascinated with, and it was a weird introduction for me into, everything. It was...
I gotta say it. That's a whole new expression of running the train. That's what hit me when he said it. Grandpa down here running the trains.
Lord.
Kind of a loss of innocence, and it was a realization that a lot of things that are thought to be pure weren't at all.
In 1988, when Manson was 18, his father, Hugh, got a new job as a furniture salesman in Fort Lauderdale, just outside Miami. The Warners left Canton, and it was to be from the sunny beaches of South Florida that the future Antichrist superstar would emerge.
So since you know so much about Marilyn Manson, how is he able to do all that and be on the Wonder Years at the same time?
He was not on the Wonder Years.
In the early 90s, Fort Lauderdale was very much like a party town. If you ever watched those old spring break movies, that's what it was about. The topless girls on the beach, the wet t-shirt contest, very flashy, very palm tree, very sunny.
So it was that party crowd and spring break mixed with all the people who came down to die. So that's what Fort Lauderdale was known for at the time. You know, it was the retirement place, and so it was a kind of a contradiction that was going on.
Enrolling in Browood Community College, Manson began studying journalism and drama and simultaneously started writing for local music magazines, a pursuit that would become vital research for his later career.
I don't really know how we ended up in college together. We just, I guess we both decided to go, and we really took the same courses. We took drama, which was kind of weird for both of us because that was the first time we were taking that. But I think it worked for both of us being on stage. And he wasn't actually involved in music at the time, but you know, it was still just I guess a way to get through college and be creative. And we took creative writing, which helped both of our writing as far as him being a journalist and me being a musician.
I'd have to say that the first time that I met Brian was probably at an editorial meeting for 25th Parallel, which was an arts and entertainment, lifestyle-oriented, rather eclectic magazine published here in South Florida. And he was the music editor and I was a contributing writer. The questions that he asked and the slants that he used for his articles were not your normal fodder, how did your band get your name kind of stuff. It was much more elegantly, the questions were elegantly posed. They were much more thoughtful. I believe that his articles seemed to provoke an introspective response from whoever he was interviewing.
Brian just started interviewing bands, mostly alternative bands. I remember him doing Front 242, Thrill Kill Call, which terrified him. A couple other bands. He used to go down to Miami. We used to interview him, and I would always go with him on the interviews. And you know, he'd come out and tell me about them. And little did I know at the time that, he was collecting all this data in his mind and saying, okay, this is working for this band, this is working for this band. If I put this together and I do a band, it's got to work. And really, it's like when you look at what he's done, you could see all these influences, all these bands that, a lot of them that he did interview, and, he kept that all in his mind and made it work for him.
Opening
Marketing, research and development. And all you gotta do is just figure out how to play music and write songs.
up an avenue for bringing out his art through writing first about the music, and then sort of being able to say, you know what, I can probably do this. I could take the things that I'm writing and set it to music, and I don't have to be Luciano Pavarotti with a voice to be able to put my art out.
Meeting guitarist and
But
songwriter.
in all fairness, he's not a bad singer.
No.
I mean, he may not be going to like an opera anytime soon, but
Well, he's not a bad singer.
he
at
can
all.
hold his own in the rock world. You know what I'm saying? It's not like me up there trying to sing something.
To Scott Patetsky at a local party, Manson began to channel his creative energy into making music.
We started working together, and he convinced me to buy a drum machine, which I liked very, very much. And even though he wasn't a singer per se, he got his ideas out. Kind of his talk singing sort of thing. And we were into industrial, and nobody in industrial really sang. It was just any melodies were achieved by synthesizers or samples. But it made for a really good combination. It was a very bizarre, surreal, not quite metal, not quite industrial, very ugly, weird thing. And I didn't think anybody would get into it or fall for it, but it worked out. And shortly after we had a body of songs together, we recruited Brian and Perry, who became, I believe it was Olivia Newton-Bundy and Zsa Zsa Speck to my Daisy Berkowitz and Brian Warner's Marilyn Manson.
Brian came to me and said, hey, me and Scott recorded this cassette, and listen to it, tell me what you think, because I want to do a band. And it's called Marilyn Manson, and this is the idea I had, and you're going to have these names, and it was going to be kind of a shock band, but it was going to be a joke. It wasn't to be taken seriously. And I listened to the.
I didn't honestly know that was a spin. I just thought it was like, is it like most shock bands are like over the top of maybe like really gross or really like provocative, or I thought it was just like a sample, like a light version, but still something that could be played on the radio. I didn't know that was a spin he was taking.
Cassette, and for a 4-track cassette, it was good. It was definitely original sound. Brian sounded good, especially for the first time actually singing. His lyrics were good.
But what really got me that was funny was the idea of using combination names where we use the female first name of the first name, I should say, of a female icon, like a positive female icon, and the last name of a mass murderer or serial killer or a cult leader. And when we came up with Marilyn Manson and Daisy Berkowitz, that was too funny. So when we got everybody else to be a part, anybody else to be a part of the band, they adopted the same names in a similar way, like Olivia Newton-Bundy and Zsa Zsa Speck.
And I think I confessed to him that my first masturbation experience was with Olivia Newton-John. And so he just said, this is going to be your name. What do you think? And it was perfect for me because
not even that, but just the information this man just let out there to the world. Hey, by the way,
that worked out. I was into Volkswagens too, which Ted Bundy's into Volkswagens, so that worked out good. And he just kind of kept that going with everybody's names. I really don't know the stories why he picked the other female names for the other people. I don't know if they've had experiences of masturbation with with those celebrities or not.
Well, one of the points of the name was to almost a mockery of controversy, a mockery of the phoniness of show business, But I thought it was interesting to take those two because of their history in popular culture, how America has put them on the same status. They're equally memorable, you know, for their own separate reasons.
I think the original defining concept of Marilyn Manson as a band and as a persona, if you like, is one of contrasts. You have one of...
I also wondered, like, why did he just choose his character's own name then? Why wasn't it called, like, because they were all, like, serial killers. Like, then why wasn't it, like, famous criminals or, like, you know, like, or serial icons or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't he just go with his name as the band? I wonder, right? You know, if they were all the people in the band had different, you know, personas. Yeah. Why wasn't it just like a band name and then they all had different personas? I kind of wonder.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying it didn't work.
Oh, worked great.
Don't change it now, Marilyn. I'm just saying. I wonder why that was never like in his mindset. Like, you know,
how they went with just that name.
Why they just didn't have a band name and then the band had character names. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The world's principal icons of sexuality, of the sex kitten personified in Marilyn Monroe. And against that, you have what's effectively became a sort of secular version of Satanism in the form of Charles Manson. You don't just get the contrast. What Manson was also interested in was the way in which kids were increasingly looking at serial killers as almost icons.
People love reading about serial killers. People love
satanic icons.
Love to read about ex-models. You know, people knew them. The names were already there. And it just put a little, you know, ring in person's head. And, you know, the kids are into anything evil.
Getting a gig at Churchill's, a small venue in Miami, everything was ready for Marilyn Manson and the spooky kids to take the stage for the very first time.
It was late winter, 1990. We had a small body of songs together with the four-piece setup and a drum machine. And we had our first show April 28th, 1990 at Churchill's Hideaway down in Miami.
When we were opening for a band called The Goods, which were mainstream, kind of almost a pop rock. And here we are just, you know, very underground. I know we went to, I was just graduated cosmetology school, so we went.
It's like whenever the average Joe's Gym walks out there in those
those one outfits.
Those one outfits when they first got to Las Vegas. That's what they had to feel like when they got out there.
Back to my school, and we just got like all the used mannequin heads, so we could place them on stage, and we would, you know, put little X's on their foreheads and stuff like that. It was very low budget. We had a drum machine. Churchill's in itself is a very small kind of just, you know, it's a dive bar that bands like to play at.
Went out to Churchill's is a small, very unique pub, believe it or not, in Miami, English pub. And I was just got off the road and I went to have a beer there and see my friend, the owner, Dave Daniels, and I saw Marilyn on stage for the first time. It was a scary experience, basically because Marilyn, it was very noisy, very raw. Marilyn didn't have a drummer, and I felt that it was an experience that I didn't want to experience again, so to speak.
I think it went over fairly well. Brian had extreme stage fright, and he continued to have that throughout our times playing together. We'd be walking on stage, and he'd be throwing up as he was walking on stage. I mean, there was times that, you know, we were starting a song, and he was nowhere to be found, and he was like, "Okay, is he going to come out and, you know, and sing or not?" And but Churchill's was definitely, you know, you kind of knew after playing Churchill's that there's something there. It definitely could work, and it had to be refined, and you could see the potential behind it, and you could see Brian's character starting to evolve at that time.
After only a few gigs, Olivia Newton-Bundy and Jean Speck left the band. Replacing Bundy on bass was Gidget Geen, who would become a legend of the band's early years.
I used to see Manson out at clubs like a lot, and we'd always look at each other like the girls at the prom, like, "Ooh, what's she in that dress?" You know, catty glances, that sort of thing.
Is Geen the guy that, what's his name?
Yes.
That put all the,
Charlie, yes.
the one that did
The Edward Gein or Gein story where he took the
made
skin
the
and made
skin,
lamps. Yeah.
And then I was at a Love and Rockets show, and I got dragged out of there by the cops, like in Hogtied. And he saw that, and so then there was another incident with, again, that band Saigon Kick played, and I like spit in the guy's face. It was a big scene, broke out. And so he saw me like at clubs all the time, like getting into trouble and doing all this and that with like crazy hair and makeup and nutty clothes. And so I guess that like attracted him. And then I met him at some club in Miami, I think it was the Kitchen Club. And he came up to me and he says, "Oh, hey, I got this band, you know, I might need a bass player. Would you be into it?" And I said, "No, I'm a guitar player. I'm playing hardcore. I don't think you can handle it." You know, he's like, "No, just come and check it out." So he gave me a tape, and it was brilliant. It was like so lo-fi and arty, very creative. I never heard anything like it. And I was like, "Wow, this is boss." So I went to see them play. And he came up to me again and said, "Look, we don't like this bass player. Come on, play for us." I said, I don't know. I'll check it out. So they got like the Nine Inch Nails gig where they opened up for him, and they wanted me to play that show. So I'm like, that sounds cool. You know, I'll try it. So I joined the band, and we decided to like, you know, I needed a name. So I came up with the Gein part first because I was always influenced by Ed Gein. You know, he was the guy in the 50s that Psycho and Silence of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was based on. And also my stepdad grew up in that town where that happened in Wisconsin. He used to always tell me stories about it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, man, this guy's crazy. You know, and he was like digging up graves, peeling off their skin, wearing their skin as clothes. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of like a borderline transvestite, and I'm into like horror movies. And like, Ed Gein's perfect for me. And then Gidget just was like a cute name, you know, to put the two together. It means nothing.
If there would
it's
only
like
have
I
been
was into the Gidget movies or anything. So
crazy mingle back then.
The Scott would come over to my house and show me some bass lines and this and that. Showed me like 3 or 4 songs that they had. And then we wrote some more songs together. Then we played the Nine Inch Nails gig, and that was like my first gig in the band, like in front of like thousands of people. It's like, this is cool, you know. So that's why I did that.
You know, Gidget, I was just a huge fan of. When I went to go see him, I was sitting there watching him. He was just outrageous looking. You know, he had the pantyhose. He had the colorful shirts. You know, he had the Gene Simmons guitar pick. You know, he had the green dreadlocks. You know, all the girls loved him.
Stephen Beer, aka Madonna Wayne Gacy, also joined the new lineup. Intended as a keyboard player, Wayne Gacy arrived just in time for the band's first break.
Stephen came into the band just about springtime, and he started out more as a.
This guy's he's in the band, right?
He was, I think, in the
he
band.
Was in the
He's
band.
Like
more as a fixture. I mean, I think there were a few shows where he was just on stage playing with Army men. In fact, in one show in particular, July 4th, 1990, we got a spot opening for Nine Inch Nails at a place called Club New down in Miami Beach. At that show, Stephen he had this weird costume on. I think it was kind of army, like crazy army man, but with like a leather jacket, and he had a helmet with a flag in it. And he played with Army men and threw cold cuts at the crowd.
They were the opener band. Nobody knew who they were. No one really knew who Nine Inch Nails were at that time, really. But, you know, people just went. It was packed. And they played this band. And I was just like, wow, what is going on here? Couldn't really hear them that much, you know, because the sound was, like, not the best sound at that time. But visually, it was just incredible. And I was like, man, that band's really cool, man. They're very kooky, you know. And I thought that was a great, you know, introduction of what they were about, and I was like, I want to know who they were, and I asked people, and that's Marilyn Manson Spooky Kids.
Well, we're almost there.
All right, you talk for a second.
I thought that was pretty fascinating. And to find out that they got to open for Nine Inch Nails, who was just starting out too. And then they come along and got to play with a group like that. You know what I mean?
That is neat.
Because I mean, Nine Inch Nails went on to be pretty big too.
Pretty big, kind of like huge too.
So I mean, that's pretty neat to. And the names are funny. Gidget. It's like, oh my god. That's an odd way of putting names together. I mean, it's creative because then you get these personas.
I mean, that's what
that you can be.
That's what they were trying to do with the point of it, I think.
I thought it was pretty interesting, though. I can't wait to see the rest of it.
Okay, so that's what he did say. Okay, I was trying to make sure that I didn't misunderstand. So they did have that. It was Marilyn Manson, I guess, later once he became big. At that time, they became Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what he said. I didn't know that. Because that's why I asked you, I said, why didn't he have a band name? I was like, why did he just call himself Marilyn Manson? See what I'm saying? But it was Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids.
Yeah. But they ended up dropping the end of it after.
In 1992. So that's why I was like, well.
But I mean, still, the names, the way they got them are pretty interesting, though. Like, getting just like a icon of this and a positive icon,
positive female icon, and a negative
and
serial killer, weird cult leader, male. I won't call them icon, but I guess
they're infamous for what they've done.
Famous person in those areas. Yeah, it's definitely a spin on a lot different than a lot of people were doing, and that's what he got when he was doing that marketing. I'm gonna call it marketing research, but he was being a journalist, writing for what published? Did they say what publishing that he was working for? Or he was just doing freelance for different people, the spell of just music in general.
It was for that one.
Oh, was it for one specific one? I can't remember.
I'm trying to get it all, catch it all in as they're talking about all this.
Well, babe, we had one job and
I know.
Kind of messed it up there.
Well, we still have plenty of time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll say it again.
We're kind of split this up into 3 different sections because it is so long.
Yeah, because we don't want you guys to have to sit here and look at, us watch, because we're watching a lot because we're trying to learn. We don't want to sit here and talk. There are things I want to say occasionally, and I kind of don't say them because I just don't want to keep stopping it.
Yeah.
But and I also want to learn what it is because I said, I thought there should have been a band name. There was a band name, and I just didn't. Either they said it before and I didn't hear them.
I just didn't pick up,
or I didn't. Or they didn't release, or didn't say it until later. But I think he's super fascinating, and that's weird that it's like he went in the idea of I want to be a biker. I want to be in a biker gang. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna find out about Harley Davidsons and biker clothes, and then once I think that I can do it, I might buy a bike and then join the club. You mean usually you start out with a bike, you start out knowing how to play an instrument or knowing if you can sing, then deciding if you can be in the. But hey, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, they say, or whatever the saying is. So I mean, it worked for him.
It worked out great.
It did work out great. Because if that would work for me, I'm gonna be tomorrow, I think I want to be a country singer. I'm pretty close to Nashville. I know country music. I had a cowboy hat once upon a time. And so I'm just going to just do it. And I just show up in Nashville and then I can't sing. That's going to be a rough situation. So it worked out that he could actually sing and he got people together. And he was probably obviously charismatic enough and knew enough about it and was in on the scene enough that he probably knew people that he could get people that could play too. And he was orchestrating a cool enough sound and a cool enough imagery that people were like, oh, that's different. That's something that might work. So sign me up.
People like things that are different sometimes. Because sometimes you get tired of the same old thing, and when something comes out, it's like, oh, look at that. And you may not even necessarily like it, but you're so interested in it, you just kind of have to see what it is.
Well, I think that's what they were saying there for a while. He was getting sick, and he wasn't singing super great, and they didn't have a drummer, and they weren't doing the best. But people were like, you know what? This right in this second sounds like crap, but there's something here.
Yeah.
I can feel there's something here. They keep working at it because in all fairness, none of them had practiced together. Some of them didn't even know if they could even do it,
Yeah.
Some of them was I think that one guy who came along a little later who was wearing the pajamas talking about the Gin.
The guy, yeah.
Gin.
He played electric, didn't even play the bass.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He didn't even play the bass, which, is kind of probably similar, but still different, So he had to learn how to play a whole new instrument on the fly.
But it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it. He got in there and figured it out. And
there's nothing but respect for that. I wish I could figure it out. When I try to play guitar, it's like I'm seizing up. I'm like,
his fingers have treads.
My fingers, my whole face goes in a different direction. Like, I don't know what happened.
I will record that next time, just so everybody can see.
I will make a short out of it. It'll be awesome. But either way, I'm excited to get into these next couple parts. We released, if you're like seeing this before you see the, maybe comes in your feed before the video that we did. We also watched a Marilyn Manson video had just come out not too long ago.
Yes,
I think like
few weeks ago.
So if you're interested in that, if there's anybody that's like Marilyn Manson that you think we should check out, I think we have like a presidents. I have another rock band on there somewhere too that we're going to be doing. And we do a little bit of everything because we listen to everything. We like everything. And I mean, we do worldwide, international stuff, and all different genres, movies, podcasts. We write songs, and we just do everything that we can possibly over here because we just like to do that. We like stuff that it makes us feel good.
Yeah.
So, we appreciate you guys being here with us to support us along this journey. And like Shannon always says, and I never say, take care of yourself.
Take care of each other.
And peace.